everybody, Chris Walden Arms here today, and we're going to talk about what we do with a test fire. How do we make sure that the gun is going to run properly under multiple conditions? Well, the first thing we do, number one, is we'll grab a couple of different magazines. So I've got a hex mag, a Magpul, and a Troy magazine. And then the other thing we do when we're prepping the gun for test fire, notice I don't have the rail on here. If I have to make any adjustments to the gas block in the field or whatever else because we've got some misalignment or whatever, it's just easier not to have all the other garbage on there to take off and just align the gas block in the field that way. The other thing we also do is we use a couple of different types of ammunition because we want to check reliability, because most folks probably aren't going to shoot match grade ammo, or they're not going to buy really expensive stuff. So we've got some Federal 223 here, and then we've got some Hornady 5.56 here. And the reason you want to double check after making sure your chamber is cut properly that it will cycle both 223 and 5.56, even though the barrel's marked, we found tons of times where the gun won't actually cycle 5.56, or it has a problem cycling 5.56. So the first thing I always like to do is I like to pick a random magazine, load one 223 round up, and then I'll pick another random magazine and I'll load a 5.56. And so we've stacked that up, and I've got about 5 or 6 rounds here. So I always like to do one from a closed bolt and one from an open bolt. So here we go. So we're gonna do a 5.56 on a closed bolt. So we start the weapon out in a closed bolt. We'll rack it back, make sure that it goes into battery. There's only one way to tell and test. Going hot? Good. So we watched some fairly good ejection. Bolt locks back like it should have. Excellent. That was with the Troy mag. So the next one we're gonna do is the 223 in a hex mag, right? So here we go. There we go, locks back on both. Good, we got good pressure, everything's good. You'll notice there's probably a little bit of, probably more smoke or whatever else coming out of this thing. That's because when we set this gun up, we're gonna kind of set it up real wet and real sloppy. You wanna make sure that you do that very specifically because the break-in process with some of the different metals and some of the different coatings, and nothing is ever consistent. Even though they say mil spec, remember, mil spec is a tolerance, okay? And so we're trying to help that break-in process so we're not tearing up metal in our gun by using some good lube and grease. So the next question is what lube and grease you use? We're real partial to Slip 2000 Extreme Weapons Grease, EGW. We sell it, we use it, so does the US Army. And then we also use Slip 2000 lubricants. They're excellent in guns, especially in the humidity and heat of Michigan. All right, so here we go. So we're gonna run out of mag. Going hot. Excellent, good, 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 good. Excellent, all clear. Weapons locked back, weapons now on safe. I don't see any weird brass deposits in here. I don't see any weird stuff going on with this gun, so it passes the serviceability test, right? Everything's still intact, nothing loose as a result of shooting. So this now gun is ready to have the rail put on it, and it's ready for service. All right. Last thing, once we've done with our test fire, we want to grab the brass that we just shot. And the reason we want to grab the brass that we just shot is we want to make sure that the primer has a nice little dent in it, and this one does. We've checked all of them, both on the 223 and everything else, and they both have nice little dents on them. We also want to make sure that the primer isn't kind of bulged out in any way. The primer isn't poked completely through. We want to make sure we're not seeing any really weird cuts on the brass. We want to make sure that it's not dimpled weird or anything else. We want to make sure the neck and everything is in good working condition to be resized and sold off to somebody for $1 million. But we just kind of want to check the brass. The brass is going to be your last tell to make sure that everything's working. It's fairly common on a brand new, I don't know if you can see this, on a brand new bolt, that you're going to have some little extractor marks. That's because the extractor is brand new, the spring is probably super stiff, and it'll wear in with time, but you want good extraction out of that gun. The other thing too to check is your gassing. So theoretically, you want your gun to shoot brass out somewhere between like 2:30 and like 4:30. That's kind of, so if you think about your shooting position, my shooting position was 12 o'clock and we saw the brass eject out this way, so that's pretty good. If your gun is over gassed, you'll have a lot of issues later on down, wearing out gas rings, bolts, buffer springs, and all that other good stuff too. So just double check. Last thing to kind of do a function check on is pick up the brass, which is also being a good steward of your range, and then inspecting that to make sure that your brass isn't having any weird shapes in it or nothing funny is going on with it. All right. Thanks again for watching. Once again, my name is Chris Walden. I'm a gunsmith.